Hi, my name is Dale, and today I'm going to be talking about natural selection and a little bit about Charles Darwin. Let me just start by saying Charles Darwin was an English naturalist, geologist, and biologist who lived from 1809 to 1882. Best known in history and science for his explanation of evolution through an idea he called natural selection. The theory argues that some traits are better well suited to an organism's particular environmental situation and are therefore passed on more frequently into the next generation. And these traits become more common in successive generations, resulting in evolutionary shifts in populations. Darwin first made these observations after his travels with Captain Robert Fitzroy on the HMS Beagle. The ship happened to travel through the Galapagos Islands, and Darwin made an observation. He noted that the creatures he observed were similar on each island, but that they slightly varied, with the creatures being perfectly adapted to their native islands. In some time after these travels, Darwin better formulated his ideas on natural selection and later published his most famous work, On the Origin of Species, in 1859. A classic example of natural selection lies within this work, as Darwin noted his observation of slightly different species of finches on each island. Some finches were large-billed, feeding more efficiently on large, hard seeds, whereas others were smaller-billed, feeding more efficiently on small, soft seeds. When small, soft seeds become rare, large-billed finches will survive better, and there will be more large-billed birds in the following generation. When large, hard seeds become rare, the opposite will occur. This pattern naturally eliminates traits that do not lead to survival and selects traits better suited for certain environments, and this is the idea of natural selection. To further understand this idea, there are some things to keep in mind. First, there's always variation in a trait within a population. Not everyone in a population will have the same versions of the trait or allele. Second, there is a tendency toward over-reproduction compared to the limited availability of resources. So, in general, more offspring are produced than can be supported by the resources present. This causes competition for resources. These resources include such things as food, shelter, and access to mates. Resources are always limited. They may be distributed unevenly in an environment or limited seasonally. Or there may be resources that are better than other resources. At any given time, members of a population are competing for access to these resources. Third, because of this competition, some versions of a trait will be better suited to the environmental context than other versions. This means that some versions will be advantageous, for example, helping the organism access food or reproduce efficiently. Other versions will be disadvantageous, perhaps limiting access to food or hindering reproduction. Finally, the organisms with the more helpful traits will auto-reproduce the other organisms and pass their helpful traits on to the next generation. Over many generations, the population as a whole will have more of the helpful traits, and this is natural selection.